I need you to hear me before you scroll. 3 months ago, I nearly killed a 18-year-old girl. Why? Because a so-called river goddess demanded a human heart within 7 days, or I would die. This is not fiction. It happened. If you've ever felt tempted by money rituals, dazzled by boys flashing cash on TikTok, or desperate enough to consider Yahoo Plus, listen carefully to what happened to me and my 3 friends. My name is Daniel Okeke. For 2 years I lived a double life. At home in Abia State, I was the perfect son. Both my parents are pastors. I sang in the choir every Sunday, read the scriptures, prayed before meals, the child my parents never worried about. But at school in Awka, Anambra State, I became someone else. I did internet fraud, Yahoo, together with my friends Jide Ogondil, Ikena Obi, and Tolu Ahmed. Sometimes we hit big, other times we were broke enough to struggle for data. The hustle was a roller coaster, and we were tired. Then TikTok started feeding me clips, boys our age who once struggled now rolling in money, G-wagons, designer clothes, bundles of cash, luxury apartments. Rumors swirled about a river goddess near Abroka, Delta State, along the Ethiop River, that anyone who made rituals there would be settled in Yahoo. I told myself I'd never cross that line. But every video lit a fire in me. Why were they rich while I scraped by? The desire grew like a sickness. One day I returned to school early, before resumption. I ran into my former roommate, and when I mentioned the videos, his eyes lit up. We called 2 others we trusted. In my room, with the door locked, I said, I have a plan. We would travel to Abroka to meet the goddess. We set out before dawn. The bus ride felt endless. When we got to Abroka, people gave us odd looks when we asked for the shrine, but someone finally pointed us toward a narrow path by the river. We walked deep into the bush until we saw it, a small hut near the dark, still water of the Ethiop. A young woman in white cloth came out. You've come for money rituals, she said. We nodded. Mama Ejiro has gone to the river. Not the right time. Come back next week and bring 200,000 Nigerian nairas. Nobody will die. Do the rites, you'll become rich. It sounded simple, too simple. Back in Awka, we scrambled to raise the money, borrowing from family and friends, spinning stories about textbooks and project fees. I even used my phone as collateral with a campus loan shark. By Wednesday, June 21st, we had the 200,000 Nigerian nairas. The following week we returned. This time Mama Ejiro appeared, middle-aged, draped in white, with long black hair nearly brushing the floor, claw-like painted nails, and burning eyes that seemed to see through us. You want unlimited wealth, she said. Once we begin, there's no turning back. We handed over the money. She blindfolded each of us and gave us a spoon to scoop from a tray of cash, once, whatever we picked. Jide got 15 Nigerian nairas 000. Ikena, 20,000 Nigerian nairas. Tolu, 21,000 Nigerian nairas. I picked the most, 28,000 Nigerian nairas. She smiled thinly. That is not a blessing. It is your years left to live. Jide, 12. Ikena, 20. Tolu, 17. Daniel, 28. The room spun. We protested, she had promised no deaths. No one dies now, she said. You'll live those years in extreme wealth. When your time is up, it's up. We wrote our names on slips of paper and set them beside the amounts we'd scooped. She wrapped each bundle in red cloth, tied them with black thread, and burned them before a mermaid-shaped idol. She swept the ashes into a red cloth and handed it to me. Tonight at midnight, she said, light 4 candles. Strip, hold the cloth, and pray for wealth. Sleep. Then return. At midnight we did everything exactly as told. That's when the noises began, wings, scraping, something clawing the ceiling. We opened our eyes to long, deep scratch marks overhead. None of us slept. Next morning we rushed back. The spirits accepted you, Mama Ejiro said. Buy a big white fowl and a Gonomos go bag. How much do you want? We named numbers. I said 300 million Nigerian nairas. She laughed. Peanuts. Ask for more. I am the goddess of unlimited wealth. I swallowed and said 5 billion Nigerian nairas. The others increased theirs. Good. Return tomorrow with the fowl and the bag. That night the midnight ritual was worse, louder crashes, a cold breath on my neck I dared not look at. We came back with the fowl and bag. She made us strip and tie red wrappers at the waist and head. She lifted the fowl to the idol, chanted, snapped its neck, marked our foreheads, chest, and backs with its blood, and led us to the river to wash. The water felt alive, pulling, clinging. Back at the shrine she caught the fowl and sprinkled alligator pepper. Eat, she said. We chewed the raw, peppered meat and swallowed. Then, continue the midnight ritual for 2 more nights. On the 3rd morning, collect your money. 2 more nights of terror. Something slammed our door so hard it shook on its hinges. Tolu wet himself mid-prayer, too afraid to move. At 5 a.m. on the 3rd morning, we reached the shrine before sunrise. Inside, the altar blazed with candles. In front of the idol sat a golden box wrapped in red and black cloth. Your money is inside, she said. But first, the final rite. A servant brought a clay pot with ashes, foul ashes from the ritual. Mama Ejiro placed the pot in the box, sealed it, and set it before the idol. We knelt and prayed, not to God, but to the spirits as instructed, begging for release of our wealth. Enough, she said at last. Open the box. The servant knelt, touched the lid, there was a crack like electricity. She screamed and flew backward, convulsing. When she went still, her eyes were milk white. Blind. They dragged her outside. We heard chanting, liquids poured, more screams. She returned later, guided, eyes still white. For the first time, Mama Ejiro looked shaken. She faced the idol and argued in a language we didn't understand, lighting more candles, pouring libations. Then she turned to us, scanning our faces. Her gaze locked on me. You. Who are your parents? They are pastors, I whispered. She recoiled. Pastors. You brought the enemy into my shrine. You carried the covering of the Christian God. You contaminated everything. She glared at my friends. The covenant is broken. The spirits reject this offering because of him. The ritual cannot be completed. What does that mean for us? Jide asked, voice cracking. We paid. We did everything. The spirits demand compensation, she said, suddenly cold. A human heart. Fresh. Bring it within 7 days, or you will all die. We can't kill someone, I said. Then you die, she replied. 7 days. She pointed to the door. Leave. Don't return without what I asked. We stumbled into daylight that looked wrong, grey and mean. The clear sky had turned into dark, swirling clouds. Small stones began to fall, then larger ones, while dry sand blasted our faces without any wind. Laughter whispered from nowhere. We ran. Jide sobbed, we are going to die. Back in Oka, the signs followed us. Shadows lingered in corners. Doors quivered. We saw movement where nothing stood. We argued through the day and night, flee. Confess. Fight back. One of us suggested finding a stronger spiritualist. Another, in panic, offered to source a heart. That's when I realized how far we had fallen, how fast. This wasn't bravado anymore, it was blood. On the second day, the campus loan shark called me, your time is up soon. On the 3rd, my younger sister asked about the money I'd promised to pay back double. On the 4th, Tolu stopped answering calls. We found him shivering in his room, certain something was perched on his wardrobe, watching. On the 5th day, Ikenna said he knew a way to get what the spirits wanted. Without us doing the killing, somebody else would do the dirty work for a fee. My stomach turned. On the 6th, I stood outside a hostel at night and watched a first-year girl laugh with her friends. For a terrifying second, I measured the distance from her to me, how fast, how possible. I had become a person I didn't recognize. That same night, the scratching returned, louder than ever, then a slam that cracked my ceiling. I couldn't take it anymore. I called my mother. I told her everything. Every lie, every theft, the shrine, the blood, the box, the 7 days. She didn't scream. She didn't hang up. She only said, "Come home now." At dawn on the 7th day, I took the first bus to ABA. My parents were waiting with elders from church. They prayed, quietly, steadily, for hours. They didn't promise me billions. They didn't bargain. They simply pleaded for mercy and broke bread with me. By evening, the house felt lighter, as if a window had opened. The whispers receded. I called my friends. Jide came the next morning, trembling, and we prayed for him too. Tolu and Ikenna resisted, angry, desperate, but by the 9th day, both showed up, thin and defeated. We confessed to families, returned what little we could, and cut ties with everyone who encouraged the fraud. We blocked the loan shark and took honest work to repay him over time. It was humiliating. It was also the first peace we'd felt in months. Did everything become easy? No. The scratches on my ceiling stayed until I repainted. I still wake at midnight sometimes and listen for wings. Money is slow and honest now. But we are alive. No one's daughter is missing because of us. I will live with what I almost did. Moral: easy money is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy. Desperation makes monsters of ordinary people. We told ourselves we were just hustling, then nearly crossed into murder. There's always a hidden cost. The promise was no one would die until the bill came due. The only way out is truth. Confession, restitution, and accountability are harder than rituals, but they actually set you free. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more African story.